This hour of the Autry Show is sponsored by Sinlaw, the most realistic artificial grass in the Central Valley.
NFL quarterback to Hollywood, to the mayor's office, and now behind the mic at KXEX. This is the Autry Show. No retreat.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody grabbing out there. Nobody. That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
So, 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable. We are
You're listening to the Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX.
Hey, welcome to Autry No Retreat. It's Manic Monday, and you know what that means. Most Mondays, I get to sit next to my good buddy Guillermo Moreno. We're going to rename the show Pancho and Lefty. Carlos and
I like that.
Carlos and the Conservative. If you tuned in and just heard Carlos and the Conservative, which one would you think would be Carlos and which one would be the Conservative?
Oh, for sure, me, Carlos.
I think which one we should name the show. By the way, the inside joke is my full name is Carlos Allen Autry. I was named for a guy that was running for the governor of Louisiana in 1952 named Carlos Spate. My dad
was he Latino?
No, he was as Southern as could be, but my dad was a little different. He just loved him. I don't know what his platform was. Well, I don't know if it's awesome or not. I mean, I think he got 52 votes out of the entire state. He got the lowest total in the history of Louisiana.
And your dad was one of them.
Oh, yeah. And these guys are walking around back in that era named John Kennedy. What's your name, Carlos? What's your name for Carlos Spate? You can look it up. You can Google it. No, actually,
I'll name my first kid Alan Reagan Moreno in honor of you. Alan Reagan Moreno. Yeah.
No, Reagan Allen.
Reagan Allen.
Oh, that guy's got more of a ring.
Reagan Allen.
Hey, listen, you just showed me something before we went on air. Another thing about proof that all you skeptics out there, we're going to give you proof.
I know. Right?
Well, no, Guillermo. They dismiss Bidenomics. They say it's not working. They say it's not lifting our country to prosperity when it clearly has.
For sure.
My goodness, what other era could you point to where you got $20 for a loaf of bread? My gosh, and gas prices. Speaking of gas prices. You have some the latest little article
man.
there.
This just hit the Wall Street Journal. Car prices are becoming unsustainable. There's only one car right now on the market that you can buy for $20,000. One car. But if you're willing to spend about 100 G's, you have 32 models to choose from. Cars are just becoming way too expensive.
Of any kind. Any kind. Fossil,
any kind.
Solar-powered, wind, geothermal. I'm looking for that geothermal-powered automobile.
Here's the deal, man. You can still buy a car.
Go there and you dig a hole in the ground. Put the core down in there, and that volcano that's brewing there, that earth core is going to eat you up. That's a long. Hey, do you know if I would? It's not Yugoslavia anymore. What is it? What country used to be Yugoslavia? At least I'm getting to a point. You're thinking cars unsustainable in Yugoslavia. You're wondering about the connection. I'm going to tell you the connection.
I know all my Yugoslavian friends are going to get mad at me.
But it's not Yugoslavia anymore, right?
It's not. It's
anyway,
what is it, sir? Is it?
Anyway, we'll find out.
I don't want to say something that sounds stupid.
Whatever the country is that used to be
Serbia.
Whatever. They have the car plants still there that gave the world the Yugo. I bought a Yugo. You're too
Did you go in the?
Yeah, I went about 20 miles before it broke down. The Yugos were, inexpensive little cars that were very, very sparse. I guess they were like a Tesla without the computer screen. But if I was some of these, Eastern European countries and whatever, start wrapping up the automobile plants and start making cheaper cars. People, especially millennials and Generation Z, they're not as what I found, not as interested in, getting educated, getting a high income and buying a Lamborghini. That used to be my generation. Lamborghinis, the other, the hot cars, the Lotus, all of these cars that were 100, 200, 300,000. But this generation really just wants to get from here to there reliably. So I think there's a great.
I was right. Half right. Yugoslavia has now been changed to Serbia and Montenegro.
So both of them together.
Yeah, I guess.
They used to be Yugoslavia.
I guess I don't sound dumb now.
Yugoslavia, I'll go.
Oh, what are you going to say? What are you going to say? Well, you don't sound dumb. Well, she's a little dumb now. Did you see? Did you catch that?
We've milked this as far as we can.
Well, but Alan, I want to tell you, this is all by design. You know that, right? And I think 2 years ago, I did an entire episode of how, and you'll appreciate this, of how cities now are turning into what's called new urbanism, which is becoming less dependent on the car, develop communities where you can work, play, and everything within 1 square mile. I took a class in this in architecture when I was a poli-sci in undergrad.
Actually, it's a radius, isn't it?
It's a radius, 1 mile radius.
Square.
Sorry, you're right. I apologize.
We will be specific.
We value facts over fiction. So right here, 1 square mile radius. And that has been the push. Get out of your car, become less dependent on your car, take public transportation, live your entire world within 1 mile radius. And that is essentially what the Europeans do. And I've said it from the get-go. We are not Europe, thank God. We are the United States of America. We love our trucks. We love our cars. We love our oil.
It's called if you can't, have transportation and move from one place to the other, our economy completely falls apart. And that's part of the design. They want to see America, as Barack Obama said, fundamentally transformed. We're going to do a show on that. That's a very loaded vision. Fundamentally. That means go after your Constitution, your Declaration of Independence. But they do. That was part of the big deal when I was mayor back in in the early 2000s. That was where cities were going. We go to these mayors' conferences and National Mayors Conference, which is the biggest campaign organization for the Democratic Party. I mean, we'll get into that. I don't know what Mayor Dyer's even doing being part of that. It's just, it does no good. It's just your taxpayer money to go there into New York or Washington, D.C. and listen to these mayors, bash Republicans, bash conservatism. They are a political action committee for the Democratic Party. But anyway, the whole thing was to keep people trapped there, dependent on the government for everything, no way to get in and travel from one place to the next, and make them so dependent. You don't have a car, this and that. So you get tired of New York, Boston, Chicago, L.A., and you go, you know what, I'd like to move to Natchez, Mississippi, but you don't have a car. Cars are so expensive, you can't get one, so you're stuck there. And then you say, if I'm stuck here, and what's been putting food on my table, even though I will never be able to live the American dream, who's put food on my table is the government. There's only so much they can give, so I better start liking Spam and old vegetables because I won't be able to afford anything else. But you know what? That's all I got, because the number one thing that fuels this type of big government, that for it to be sustainable, is to drain the hope out of people to a level that they don't want or feel like they could better themselves or their families. That's exactly where you have to be. That's how it works in China. Russia, you're getting kind of a revolution going on. But that's how it works in South Korea. That's how it works in Iran. It's starting to rebel a little bit there. But that is the basic fundamental tenet. If you don't on your own lower your expectations about where you could go, they are going to force you to lower those expectations.
Reach it.
And how do we know that? We've seen when welfare came in and said, hey, don't worry about getting a job. Well, I'd like some training for a job. Don't worry about it. And people bought that, especially the inner city African-American community and poor minority communities, because the government said, we're going to save you. Forget about fatherlessness. Let that guy go. We're not going to help get him addiction counseling or job training. Let him go. We're your daddy now. Government's going to be the daddy. We're going to be your husband, single mother, and we're going to take care of your kids. The problem is government makes a lousy thing when it steps out of its lane, especially trying to be a parent and a father, because there's only so much you can give. And what happens is the first generation of welfare starts giving up hope. They start giving up on their self-worth, because basically the system is telling you, no, don't come to work because you really don't have anything worth contributing to a vibrant economy. Just stay home and we'll deliver it. The government was delivering meals long before Grubhub. They just said, come in, stay there, don't come here, don't get a job, you're not. And people didn't see through that. They saw them as being a friend. Oh, they're giving us money, but just barely sustainable money. Oh, the cost of living increase. Well, that's enough to go from maybe spam to spam plus, But what happened?
Don't be knocking on spam.
But
man.
what happened? I like spam. That's wrong analogy. But I saw you saw the next generation watching their parents grow up on welfare, and that's all they knew. So many of them got sucked in that that's what you do. So you had the second generation of welfare. Then what happened? An amazing thing happened. You can, criticize Bill Clinton all you want because I got a few gripes with him myself. But when the Republicans won the House, and back in the early 90s when he took over, and he was standing out there along the executive branch, and the Senate and the House both went Republican. He said, I got to change. The people have spoken. And compare this to what I'm about to say, what Clinton did, Guillermo, because I want your take on this. Instead of doing what every politician on the left is doing now, which is saying, I don't care what they control. We're not going to compromise anything. We're not going to compromise on an open border. We're not going to compromise on tax increases. We're not going to compromise on more government spending, even though we're $32 trillion in debt. We're not going to compromise on anything. Welfare, you just stay there because Obama, when he came in, he changed it where you don't have to work. We're going to maintain those. And by the way, we don't even want to talk about it. But what Clinton did was something amazing. He partnered with Newt Gingrich. Yes, that Newt Gingrich, Woclef, that you hate and despise, that Newt Gingrich, and you think he's a firebrand now? You should have seen Newt Gingrich back in the day. But Clinton put the country over his politics.
Sir.
Now, he couldn't put his sexual desires over his politics.
Wow.
Nobody's perfect.
Talk about Hurricane Hillary.
You know what? But you got to compartmentalize that. I mean, you have to.
I would take that with Biden right now. He was a little, on that side, but he did a good. I would take that right now.
But in terms of, so he and Newt Gingrich, you ready for this, folks? Because it's something you don't hear.
Don't say it.
I'm going to say it. Worked together. They worked together. I know it. It just What is work together, Mommy? Can you explain that? What work together mean? Well, son, it's a term used way back in the day when people were actually moving America forward. America was a good place to live. Republicans and Democrats actually did work together. Why don't they do that now, Mommy? Well, I don't know, son. But anyway, take that bit. Not funny anyway, but it kind of illustrates what we're talking about.
Perfectly.
But what happened? He worked together with Newt Gingrich, and they created Welfare to Work, the most successful program in the history of welfare, which even got Thomas Sowell to say something good about a Democrat. Now, if you go to Thomas Sowell, he's a staunch, a hero to the folks on the right. He should be to folks on the left. But you tip your hat. They worked together, and they got more people off of welfare into jobs than any time in history. The economy benefited. They got rid of the deficit. The budget was balanced. And these folks went from a life of feeling like they didn't even matter to going to a job, getting a paycheck, signed on that check. And Guillermo, I can remember when I got my first check when I was a kid, out working.
I remember mine. Yeah.
And seeing that check made out to you, somebody valuing what you did enough to pay you, that is transformational, is it not? And it transformed hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. And what did Obama do when he first took over? Got rid of Welfare to Work and said, go back to the old days. You talk about Biden says they want to keep y'all in chains, talking about Mitt Romney. Well, look at what he did. Talk about keeping y'all in chains. Go back to that horrific, grotesque system of welfare just to buy their vote, to get you entrapped, that you have to vote for them or you're going to lose what crumbs you do have. Go ahead.
Oh, man.
I don't know where you start.
I don't know how to follow that up.
Well,
I mean, you did such a...
I got us on this, Yugoslavia. If you wouldn't took so long looking up Yugoslavia,
I
wouldn't have gone off on that rip.
Right. Well, no, it's so important. And this is a show that I think could be ours. What is the job of government? What is the responsibility of government? That's the question.
Let me put this in. I want you to keep going.
Okay.
Is that not the central question that defines one party from the other?
For sure.
Isn't that the fundamental? How big should government be in your life? How big, how much control, how much influence should the government have upon your daily life and your daily decisions?
And to be fair, both parties are guilty on all accounts on that. The Republicans don't get off because they're for limited government. They bloat government just like the left. So I want to be very clear. Even the Republicans have trouble just answering the question, what is the fundamental job of government? So I don't want to let anybody off the hook here.
You're so right. Republicans, well, we don't spend like the Democrats. Well, that's like saying my electric bill is not as big as Vegas and the Strip. They're running the lights 24/7, 365 days a year. Hey, I don't use as much electricity as,
exactly
as Harrah's casino.
Yeah. So listen. So that's the fundamental question. What is government supposed to do? What is their job? What is their role? And how are they supposed to take care of their citizenry? Because every government, to a certain extent, takes care of their citizens. Now, I'm all for welfare if we were like the Saudis and we're sitting on so much oil that we could literally cut a paycheck to everybody. I would be for that. But the reality is, we're not the Saudis. We're not an oil. Well, we are an oil-rich country, but that's an entirely different conversation. We, as a government, especially, and unfortunately, this has gone from the federal level to the state level to the local level. They find as many issues as they can to essentially try and solve. All the while, the basics have gone unnoticed and it's just not working. Government can't do everything well because no person can. When you think about it, even let's just say you have 5 jobs.
Let me ask you this.
Shoot.
In the whole scheme of things, should they? For the growth of a human being, the growth of a family, for the health of an individual, for the health of the family, we all know that just giving things does not turn out that well. The only thing you should give is love. God gives grace. But the essentials in life, to work for something, an honest day's pay for an honest day's work, this whole thing about welfare, if it was implemented and kept the way it was intended to be a helping hand during a time of need. You lose your job, your husband leaves you, your wife leaves you, what have you. As you search and look for a job to be self-sustainable, the government comes in with a helping hand. It was never meant to be a career or a sustainable wage to make a living. You're not going to send, go on a vacation or buy a car that you like or send your kids to college on welfare. You're never going to be able to do those. It was never meant to be that. It's just like unemployment insurance. It's never meant to be in place of employment. It's, hey, you lost your job, down in your luck, this and that, and we're going to give you a helping hand while you go out and you find the jobs, another job.
And you're seeing
that's the thing about this whole thing, that government can take care of you. We're seeing it happen in Europe, economy after economy, country after country, going possibly irretrievably down economically because, as Margaret Thatcher says, they ran out of other people's money to take it. In Greece, you can retire at 50, and the government's going to pay for you a wage, $80,000, $90,000 a year plus insurance.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's where these things hit. You talk about unsustainable.
It's not sustainable. Alan, let me give you I had a great thought, and then you got me off the track with Greece there.
I do that.
Oh man.
You want to take a break?
No, I'm gonna circle.
This is a real challenge for you.
It is.
And the more I keep talking, the more it's running away from you.
It really is, because we're on there.
Welcome to my world. Welcome to 71 years old, and you're what, 37?
Okay, you were saying. Dang it! I don't want to go to commercial until I get this out.
You're having a senior moment.
I can't believe it.
Was that racial? Are you insulted?
Well, unless I identify as a senior.
What's the best thing about being Mexican?
Our work.
I'm doing this so you can get
the work ethic. Yeah, it worked.
It worked?
It did. It did. Man, you're good. The work ethic. I think
I've always wanted to ask somebody, what's the best thing about being
Okie? Down
before
I forget it.
And the next thing you ask me, what's the best thing of being Southern or Okie or white or what's? Well, that's a minefield. Hey, what's the best thing about being white?
I can't believe that actually triggered what it was. Okay, We're hardworking. We're hard. It's
Yes.
like in our DNA. And that's
You're talking about, yeah.
and that's the problem I think of.
Wasn't that in America's DNA for a while?
Oh,
To work?
woo. Man, you better archive this show. We're going deep. We're like in church right now.
Come on,
Woo.
amen, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Go on, we'll go. Rat, rave.
So here's the problem now. This brain, it's really a brain drain and a achievement drain. When you tell the people, like, don't worry about it. We're going to take care of you. We're going to take care of you. You're going to have less doctors. You're going to have less lawyers.
Now you preach it.
You're going to have a lot less. And you're starting to see this in a lot of industries.
Absolutely.
Look at the medical field. Let's just look at, if you were to take, and I'm sure their studies have been done, your doctors today are, and I'm so blessed, we're so blessed as a country to have so much immigrants from England,
keep
India.
going, man.
We're blessed to have doctors, and I don't care what nationality they are or origin. But that's the problem. When you don't have people wanting to achieve, someone's going to achieve. Trust me. And it might not be in-house. We're going to have immigrants from all over the world doing it when our American kids are just no longer. They just don't want to do it. And it's propounded in a negative fold in an area like the Central Valley. When you don't have people that want to achieve, we're growing. You look at our healthcare industry. Yeah. It's just, when we don't achieve and we don't strive, we're going to have even bigger problems. It's a circle. Everything affects each other.
Let me ask you this. And this is going to rub some people the wrong way, but, I'm so old to really give a rat's mind. I mean, I don't intentionally hurt anybody's feelings, but I'm going to tell the truth the way I see it. If it wasn't for Pakistani and Indian doctors here in the San Joaquin Valley, do you think the poor would even be served?
No, they would not, Alan. Just being really honest, they would not.
I mean, it's been a while, and I don't like to bring race into it, and it's not really race. It's what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. A system that says, education's not important. It's racist. It's oppressive. Don't learn math. Don't learn science. Tear down the institutions. Start all over again. So kids that don't, find it tough to go to school anyway are given more reasons to flip the middle finger at the education world, drop out. And I got news for you. You talk about the big lie. Trump's big lie. That's not the big lie. The big lie is that you don't need an education anymore, that you don't need a high school diploma and college degree. That is the biggest lie that you young people could ever take. The biggest hook that you could ever bite on is that because still to this day, you go into prisons. The reason you look at them, why they're in prison? It's it's math.
Yeah. And you convinced me on this.
30% of them don't graduate from high school.
Yeah.
So that diploma indicates something. But you're right. You look at Central Valley. Thank God for Pakistan and India. Yeah. And I would venture to say, from what I've seen and been around and talked to other people, I'm going to put a percentage on it. I think at least 80%. I may be wrong, but
for sure.
Huh?
I know where you're going. For sure.
Absolutely. Pakistani and Indian doctors serving our poor.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But we're going to take a quick break. Go ahead.
You want to know the troublesome aspect of this on the flip side of that? Is that my family's in healthcare. Most of them are. Like 75% of my family's in healthcare.
Your wife is an angel.
She is.
Helping people in therapy.
She is.
Oh, Esther. Oh, my goodness.
And
God bless her.
And we know a lot of Indian doctors. Did you know that their kids aren't striving as much as the Indian doctors want them to push their kids? They don't want to become.
They raised in America.
They were raised right here in America.
A lot of fixing to be done.
Does that make you think?
On this show, we don't want to just talk. Yeah, it does. But, on this show, we got to talk about solutions as well. And a simple solution? Nancy Reagan had it, and people laughed at it. But you know what? It worked when she said, just say no. Drug use went down. They laughed at her. Just say no. But that was preached over and over and over. Just say no. From the most powerful office, the first lady, just say no. It worked. I got news for you, folks. Drug use went down. Well, you know what? We're going to give us another simple statement. It can transform your life. It could actually maybe save your life. And that is, stay in school. Tell your kid to stay in school. Get that high school diploma and that college degree, and don't let anybody con you and use you and exploit you into thinking that's not important. This is Alan No Retreat with Guillermo Moreno. We'll be right back. you came with some really good stuff.
Hey, man, we're going to thank our Serbian friends. We're going to have to threw us off on that tangent.
Hey, Jeremy, do we have that soundbite that I sent of Hillary? Oh!
Can you get it up real quick? Just get it up real quick. I can type something up. How long will it take you? All right, you get to it. What is it?
I got to get this scheduled first.
Yeah.
This hour of the...
It was a bit on her saying, I ain't no wise too tired. Anyway. Okay, well, we won't do that.
I miss Hillary. I really do.
Want to do it tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah, just let me know when I send you, though, if you're not going to be able to do it, so I don't have it on my notes.
Okay, I thought I was. I just got a little crunched.
Yeah. Well, crunch somebody else next time.
Yeah.
Okay.
How do you have? You can't just grab it on the internet?
No, let him go now. We'll go on here.
Okay.
Crunch the constitutionalist and tell him I told you to.
Yeah, Eric's fault.
Sorry, Eric. On that free speech soliloquy, I've got to get some stupid soundbite for Autry.
Hey, did you see Vivek is neck and neck with DeSantis?
You know what? I'm going to do this. It's on our. You know what? Let's touch. Oh man, how much time we have? God, we got so much to talk about.
We got like 20 minutes.
Love you, folks. Thanks for tuning in.
Hey, and thank you to.
Are you going to be here tomorrow?
I may. Yeah,
Talking
more than
Tuesday?
likely. More than likely.
Okay.
Thank you for everybody reaching out. They said they wanted to make sure you and I were safe in Hurricane Hillary.
You know, I have to go to that. Thank you, folks. I know I appreciate it. But I'm going to read just how things happen in L.A. and what they think is a catastrophe.
Did you see the governor out there?
No,
he had to wear a white shirt rolled up his sleeves. Where it was so. You want to talk about acting? That man.
Let me tell you, with the hair bare no moon, he had so much Aquanet on that hair.
Yeah.
So much gel. And you notice he was speaking into the wind like this.
Yeah.
Table for two, French laundry. This hurricane. Wouldn't you love that hurricane pick him up? Not hurt him, but would you like to see him just picked up and him screaming like a stuck pig?
Oh,
and the hurricane land him over there to French laundry.
I'm all good to go again.
You ready to go? Let's do it.
All right, here we go.
What's just a name, too?
This hour of the Alan Autry Show is sponsored by Sinlaw, the most realistic artificial grass in the Central Valley.
And welcome back to Alan Autry No Retreat Manic Monday with Guillermo Moreno. Make sure you catch his show 4 o'clock pretty much every day. Woo! And sometimes you get Officer Tatum.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Yeah, that's the sound of the police.
But so honored to have him with us. He's and for those of you who've asked, yes, he's just as nice a dude out of the studio as he is in the studio.
Me or
you, dude?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we're gonna. We were capping on a little bit. Governor Newsom and this crisis of the hurricane hitting California. Yeah, it's inconvenience. No loss of life yet, thank God. We haven't heard of any. I am so guilty of certain things that really don't make sense, and I got to slap myself. Like, I grew up rich, born into a rich family. So Mr. and Mrs. Newsom, why you don't name your kid Gavin? It's Gavin. Hey, Gavin. I mean, name him Rex. Or
something American.
Or Tucker.
Yeah, Tucker.
Or Billy Joe. Billy Joe Newsom. I mean, do something. Gavin Newsom, table for two.
It does have that aura of superiority.
It's wrong. We're wrong about that. It has nothing to do with it. It's his actions, his demeanor, not his freaking name. And anyway,
I've never met another Gavin. Now that I think about it.
Oh, they all went to Yale.
Oh, for sure.
Most of the Gavin. I'd like to. Is there a way to research that? You can research everything. Can't AI find everything? Where did most of the Gavins of the world go to school?
On it.
No, don't. Hey, okay. Here in California, I'm not going to say we're spoiled, and especially in Southern California. I lived there for 7 years doing the acting thing. And I consider it like a second home. I consider Atlanta, Georgia, where I did He of the Night for 7 years. Shreveport, Louisiana. I was born there, so that's one of my homes. Fresno, California is my home homes. But here's a story from the LA Times talking about the of the storm Hillary that's hitting. It says, oh gosh, what it is? Let me get the headlines. Do I have the headlines here? Hold on. It goes, tropical storm Hillary moves on from California. But here's I think this is the article. Hold on. But you know what? Since appeal has hold on. Fill the gap. Talk about you.
All right. Hey, when I saw Gavin, so Gavin Newsom yesterday did one of those emergency press conferences, and he was outside, of course, and it looked like it might have been raining, but he went out there with a button-up white shirt because, of course, he wants you to see it. The fact that he's out there and it's maybe wet and sticking to his body. He had his hair slicked back, and he was just looking at the camera like this, folks. This is dangerous. Take this seriously. I feel like he wanted to have like a Ron DeSantis moment. Like, there's a hurricane coming and I'm governor. Oh, man. Hey, let's get the wind machines if we have to. But I got to I'm stepping up.
This is my Katrina, and I'm going to do it right.
Exactly.
Bush screwed up. I'm going to do it right. No, I found the article here. And it's from, drone video shows devastating flooding in Palm Springs after Hillary wallops California with torrential rain. Now listen to this. Flooded roads, stuck cars, whipping winds, all shown in a dramatic new drone video that captured the effects of catastrophic flooding in Palm Springs due to the devastating impacts of Tropical Storm Hillary. Hillary's effects were still being felt in California and Nevada Monday, but the heavy rain and strong wind gusts will begin to subside through the day because the remnants of the once tropical storm are zooming off to the north, where it'll eventually cross into Idaho. The video shows raging floodwaters from Hillary rushing out of riverbanks and covering roads, as well as wind battering an American flag and palm trees swaying. I promise you that's all. Palm trees swaying. My God, it's just like Maui. Maui is in Southern California. Cars are abandoned in the street while another is seen being towed from a water-covered roadway. Folks, I got to tell you, if tow trucks can still get there, help me out on this.
Probably a Tesla.
Probably not.
Probably a Tesla that the water got under the battery. Can't move it.
That is only catastrophic by Hollywood standards. The same video also shows cars driving on wet roads with water splashing into the air with some...
Oh, no, you're kidding.
I'm not kidding you. With some trees covering the street after being brought down by the strong winds. Another shot from the video shows part of a roadway that was washed away by flooding. They washed part of the road away. Flooding along State Interstate 10, several local roadways and around Palm Springs triggered officials to declare a local state of emergency due to unprecedented rainfall and flooding of local roadways. Oh, my. And at least one swift water rescue.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
There
have been reports of at least 2 water rescues, and officials have urged everyone to stay off the roads until the water subsides.
I don't think a kayak would probably even float in that.
Man, I'm telling you.
No way. The kayak?
No,
there's no way. You got to have like at least a good...
But no deaths have been reported in the U.S. so far. Due to the I mean, only in Hollywood. Oh, my God. Palm trees are swaying. Jack Nicholson cannot back out of his driveway. He's up on the balcony yelling, "Please come, helicopter, take me to the Lakers game right now." Oh, gosh.
Well, it's funny that they were talking about the drone video, but the drone was...
Folks, I'm not acting. That was the article. How can they do that when Maui, they're still uncovering bodies and they think most of them will be children. You got a war raging in the Ukraine. You've got candidates being assassinated in Ecuador and Guatemala. You've got crime in the streets, borders where kids are on the border, in cages, and you're going to compare, just some high winds and some swaying palm trees and call it catastrophic. That's LA for you. That's Hollywood for you.
We're so dependent on the news. Like it's almost, you have to make it theatrical. You got to present it in a way because that's what the people want. They want to hear about devastation. Unfortunately, they don't want to hear about good news, which just irritates me.
Let me
ask away.
If Gavin Newsom asks for federal aid,
Oh, come on.
is he done? He's done. No, he is done as a presidential candidate.
When he asks.
No, you're right. I think this is it. He is done.
No,
they're going to look and say,
no way.
Palm Springs got hit. Southern California got hit. You got a few, some grapes in Central California that didn't dry. So you don't have enough money in the world's 5th largest economy. What have you done with all your money, Governor? Oh, we gave it away.
Gift cards. Remember during COVID to give people vaccinated?
That's why, folks, when I was on this show, going, don't spend the money. Create a reserve. When I took over city of Fresno, it shocked me when I found out the city had never run a reserve. Guillermo. Never had a reserve for truly a rainy day reserve.
Truly a rainy day, yeah.
And I said, well, why? They said, well, if you do that, if you're in a reserve, the unions think that's their money. And I said, no, I don't. I'm a member of 3 unions. I think if you talk to the unions and talk to them about the wisdom of creating a reserve, so when bad times hit, we don't have to lay off the members of the union as much. One of many, many positives of having a reserve. You got to have, because most families do what? They take money that they earn. They spend some for their necessary bills, rent, car payment, insurance, that sort of thing. They may invest if they have enough, make enough money to invest a little bit, and then they save. They have a savings account for a rainy day. That's the 3 main things that most, wise families do with their money. That's what government should do. Because you knew sooner or later, by the way, governor and legislature who don't believe in creating when they get a reserve, they just look at it as a slush fund.
Yeah, how soon can we spend the money?
Who can I buy off? Oh, there's a mayor in Fresno. Terry Dyer, let's take some money, $125 million there for bathroom toilets and some sewer pipes. Give him $125 million to shut him up.
Yeah.
I mean, they just disperse it out. Then when the real rainy day hits, you're flat broke. But I just don't. I don't think he has the votes to get any money out of Congress. Do you?
No.
With the Republicans, they're going to send. Who's going to send money here to make Gavin Newsom look good and Adam Schiff look good?
This is where Republicans are guilty too. To get it across Congress or to get some kind of aid, they'll talk to McCarthy and say, "Hey, listen, man, the farmers, they need water, right? Well, let's throw something in this bill to make sure that they get water allocation or something." So there's always a deal to be had, especially when you have 2 parties that really want to bring home something.
But how does McCarthy sell having to replant 100 palm trees?
Easy.
How does he convince Steve Scalise of Louisiana that Palm Springs is having a crisis because they don't have as many palm trees as they had before the storm?
If I was Gavin, I'd say this. Listen, the reality is, how much money are we sending to Ukraine? How much money do we not allocate to the rest of the nation when they have severe weather? And I get it. This might not be severe to you guys, but it's severe to us. And look at our farmers. Look at the devastation. That you know what this is going to do to the crops. And I'm sure you'll have some ag guy say, "Well, this is going to be $32 million hit." So that's how you do it. You break it down to Scalise and McCarthy, and McCarthy will bite.
I don't see them sending a significant amount. If they do, all of them. Look, there's hard times that there's challenges that masquerade themselves as hard times. There are difficulties that masquerade as a full-blown crisis.
Mm-hmm.
I think the American people would rightfully be outraged if the state of California doesn't find some way to deal with the one road that was washed away, the nuisance of what Hurricane Hillary is called. It happened in probably, I don't know the exact data, Guillermo, and listeners, but I would venture to say this happened in some of the most affluent, one of the most affluent areas in the entire world. And they can't sustain and come back with their own resources for a 1-day or 2-day storm that caused some flooding. I would be more worried about the homeless in their tents out there. Maybe this is a wake-up call. Start really getting these folks. What if these folks that were out on the street were actually in a building, in a hospital where they used to be able to go?
Well, let's talk
before that and not be out on the streets. They were in a hospital, in a bed, and getting mental health treatment instead of out in the tent, vulnerable to something like this. They could have done that if they would started it when they should have. We used to have mental institutions here, and they worked. And that's one gripe I have with one of my heroes in politics, Ronald Reagan. He shut them down, let them loose, and they had no place to go. He made a mistake. There I go. You people say I don't ever criticize Republicans. I just criticize my political role model.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing here, and you touched on it. And when I thought about Hurricane Hillary, I said that this is going to devastate the homelessness population more than anybody else because they're out there, they're on the street, they have no shelter, or the shelter is whatever tent they pitched on the sidewalk. But reminded me of this article here from Dan Walters and Cal Matters. Newsom squabbling with local officials over homelessness undermines fixes. You know how much California has spent on homelessness? $20 billion. $20 billion across the state to try to reduce it. And you know what the number is in LA? It's increased 9%. In Fresno, we know it increased as well because we just had the report, this count in time. So you spend $20 billion on an issue.
And you're worse off than you've been.
And you're worse off. And now, guess what? The chickens are coming home to roost. And these county officials, these city officials, and the governor, they have nothing to show for it. So they're like this. Oh, he did it. Yep. The county's too slow. You're acting irresponsibly. We have this issue here locally where last year, remember, the county put out a report saying, hey, you guys in Fresno, Jerry, what are you doing? You're not communicating with the county on this homelessness issue. There's no coordination on this homelessness. They just see a bunch of money. It's a money grab. Hey, give me the money. We'll buy this hotel. We'll buy that hotel. We'll rehab it. We'll do this. We'll do that. Just give us the money. They have no inclination to actually solve the crisis of homelessness. And the fact that our homelessness numbers are rising, irrespective of $20 billion, shows you that their goal was never to solve it.
And look you right in the face and bald-faced lie and tell you homelessness has gone down.
Yeah, you're not going to see homelessness anymore.
Inflation has gone down. Joe Biden got there and said inflation has gone down. Joe, it was 2% when you took office.
Well, he was talking about from last month. It went down from last month.
He said, in my administration of taking inflation down has reduced. In fact, the Inflation Reduction Act has worked. And then, Newsom getting up and telling you flat out that people aren't leaving California, that the 800,000 that every single study puts up between 650,000 and 800,000 people have left California. Well, look Sean Hannity and you right in the face until they've had a net gain in people moving here. Who do you know out there? Who do you know in your immediate family, friends, or know somebody who knew somebody who knows somebody that uprooted from the South, uprooted from another state, and moved to California recently?
I don't know anybody.
Do you know? Well, we know what the answer is. It's a rhetorical question. It's none.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, you know what? This reminds me of them trying to sell these policies. They're telling you up is down, right is wrong. Because let me tell you a simple equation. Math is not racist. It's simple. Bad plus bad does not equal good. Bad plus bad equals bad. Wrong plus wrong equals wrong. Wrong plus wrong does not equal right. Bad plus right can influence and have a chance to make equal right if you let it influence the bad. Wrong plus right does have a chance to influence and come out with an equation that equals right. It's you had racism in the South, wrong. You had Martin Luther King's civil rights movement, right, and it equaled right in the long run, had influence, not right away, but the equation started to turn. But when you got what we're having now, you're having people just lying to you and telling you got to believe this. And you know what it reminded me of last night? I was thinking, it reminds me of somebody who's got really bad breath. You got bad breath, or you've been out drinking. And back in the day, you all may remember, they had a substance called Banaka. Take a Banaka blast. Jeremy's heard it. It's a little spray. And you had bad breath, been out drinking. You put that Banaka, spray that Banaka, and you get around people, and they go, oh, my God. They didn't take away the bad breath. It just made it smell like bad breath with Banaka, which was even worse. Now, prior to that, the only thing they had, that was high tech, Banaka. And I remember the days of Scope. When you had bad breath, you eat a bunch of garlic toast, a bunch of pasta with garlic, and then you gargle with Scope. And it didn't all it tasted, all it smelled like was stinky butt garlic with Scope. People are like, oh my God. But prior to that, back in the day, my dad's day, they had a little substance called Sensen. I think it was S-E-N. And Sensen was these little bitty pellets. And I remember getting them because when the first time I drank it, I heard about them, And you drink and you put these Sensen in your mouth. And then you just come in and you could, knock a bowl over with your breath then. And that's like these people with these policies. They got this bad breath. That's not inflation. Inflation reduced. And they try to put on the Banaka on that. And all you do is just smell the lie even worse. It doesn't cover the lie.
True. That's a good point.
It doesn't cover the lie. You go eat a piece of garlic toast and come out there, spray some Banaka on there or some whatever. And it makes it smell even worse. They'll say you can't put a lipstick on people. And I think the people are really starting to discover that. I think the Democratic Party is you know what? We can't keep marching out there and telling people everything's fine. And you're seeing some Democrats and writers. New York Times, David Brooks, just came out with an article saying maybe we are the problem, meaning the elite leadership, those that are highly educated, that maybe we tend to look down on people. Maybe we tend to dismiss people. Maybe we tend to think we know what's better for them. Maybe we tend to think that people that because of our education, because of the groups we run with, and we're starting to believe our own academic hype, within our little bubble we live in. And you think that everybody outside the Beltway out of New York is a MAGA hat wearing far-right terrorists. Whereas, if you listen, that's what that song. You hear that song, Richmond, North of Richmond? You've not heard that? Oh, you'll love it. It's got like 20 million views in you got it in like 2 days.
That's the new country one?
Yeah, I don't know if we'd call it country. It's more of a Bob Dylan-ish, Bruce Springsteen type deal. Mm-hmm. But it is obviously an expression of anger, of not being heard. And if you're on the left and you want to actually know what's going on out there, why there's such anger, and if you'll open your mind and be willing to say, they may have a valid point in terms of their anger. There may be something to this that if I was in their shoes, I would feel the same way. If you can have your brain and your heart to stand down for a moment on what you believe, step out of your bubble and listen to that song, I think it'd be good for you, because that expresses a lot of the anger of the middle class folks who feel like they've been left behind. That's what this Trump movement's all about. They're not rich enough to get corporate welfare. They make too much to get regular welfare. They're being priced to where they're living to paycheck to paycheck. Now they're maxing out their credit cards, dipping into the IRA funds, and nobody seems to care at all. And that was the majority of the people on January 6th. The knuckleheads that went in there, they're marching to a different drummer. I don't even want to be near the band. It doesn't have enough common sense to not break into the Capitol. But 99% of those people were there to express their anger, like many other movements. They went there. You just gotta listen, Guillermo, don't you think?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm listening to the woke left. I want to listen to them. I want to know, because what is your gripe about the basic institutions of America? Why do they need to be torn down? Barack Obama, why do you need to tear down all the institutions that have fed more hungry than all the countries put together, that have been a beacon for freedom, that helped democracy win 2 world wars? Those fundamentals were essential to winning those wars and helping those people. Why do you fundamentally want to transform those institutions? I'd like to hear it. Haven't heard him so far.
Look at Vivek with his shirt off.
Oh, we're going to talk about Vivek tomorrow. We're going to talk about that.
Do it.
Do not miss tomorrow's show, because we're going to talk about some things with Vivek Ramaswamy that I think you'll find extremely interesting and probably a little surprising in terms of my take on his candidacy. This is Alan Autry, Guillermo Moreno. Thank you for tuning in on Manic Monday. And good Lord willing, Creek Don't Rise. We'll see you Taco Tuesday. Just do your best and let God do the rest. Bye-bye now.
Who cares about the clouds?